he has a dinner tonight.
All right.
Is that, oh shit.
Pledge of
Just the
allegiance.
cups, 2 cups.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She can sit here. I'll let you switch now.
Or we see how long it takes.
You want to stay there?
Going that way? You can move this
Slide over.
I got my Starbucks cup.
We're a friendly group, we like to be close, so.
That's how you get stuff done.
My girlfriend came today. She is good. She has sat through these very exciting meetings now for 2 years. Sorry.
That's might have taken down the building.
Public correspondence, we have nobody here from the community, do we have any correspondence?
Nobody calls, nobody writes me.
Okay, you don't feel bad about that?
Yes, that's how I'm taking it for right now,
I think it means everyone is satisfied, so.
for the moment.
Approval of meeting minutes, October 10th, 2024, do I have a motion?
I'll move to
Right,
approve.
second? Chris, any discussion?
I have something.
Yeah,
We said, it says 10,224, it really is 10,324.
where is this?
I'm on page 2 at second paragraph.
Second paragraph.
Fees incurred, 10,000 per school per month.
And my second paragraph must not be the same as yours.
Oh. The invoice was presented for the ONG pre-construction services.
It's wrong. Second page or third page?
Oh, I'm on the second page of the meeting, man.
Are they out there?
Oh, okay. Well, I've got
It's at Norton
invoice
Elementary
presented for the
School.
new Norton Elementary School
Yes.
for ONG Industries for
That one.
construction service for $193, $148.36. Chuck Neff made a motion to approve the invoice. So what do you, is that
Ms. Purcell explained that this amount?
motion passed unanimously by those present?
The 10,000,
I don't see a 10,000 number.
Third paragraph, next to
Oh,
the
okay,
last
all
line.
right, so I'm down here at the third paragraph. Okay.
Sorry.
I think the printing might have printed different sizes.
Oh, okay.
Second paragraph.
So it's 10,224, it's actually 10,324.
324,
Yeah.
okay. And Greg, do you approve that
I approve
change
that
to your
change,
motion?
Yes.
Okay, Chris, is that all right? Okay, anything else?
That's just a typo, it doesn't change the amount, what we voted on is still correct, right?
Well, I assume that's, yeah, whatever it says.
It's
there.
what's in the contract.
Fees incurred at
I don't know if
10,000.
I said it incorrectly or whatever, I happened to bring one of them with me, it's 10,324.
Yeah.
But it's in our contract.
Yep. All right, anything else? If not, then all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Abstain. Abstain. I'm sorry, I should have asked that.
One abstention.
Oh, yes, from Dennis. Chairman's report, I have no report. Things have been extremely too quiet the last 2 weeks. So, moving right along. And on that happy note, let me turn it over to the architects. Where are we at?
Okay, so we held what we assume is our final meeting with Barbara this morning for Norton. Last week, we closed all of our open items on North End, or all of the items that from our PCR checklist review were considered open. We did the same thing for Norton today. At the conclusion of our meeting, our understanding is that everything from a plans and specifications and pre-bid conformance review is closed. Barbara has drafted the letters, the approval bid letters for both projects. We are just following up on the sole source approval letters that we originally issued on August 16th, 10 weeks ago tomorrow, and have modified a number of times and And based on my conversation with the reviewer for those this morning, we addressed the final comments that were relative to warranties in the door hardware specification. And those, we sent those off. Our assumption is that those are closed. So.
Did he give you an indication of when we're gonna get that approval?
No, however, I did speak with Barbara, our plan reviewer for Norton and North End regarding this. This is not unique to our projects in particular. There are a number of projects that are currently under review that are experiencing the same delayed response approval on sole source requests. And if, just as a refresher, the sole sources that we've asked for are our door keying, access control hardware, so our proximity, our credential sensors, and our overall access control management program, and our fire alarm. These are all, have historically been conventionally approved, and we would anticipate that they would be as well. However, in the conversations with the plan reviewer today, there are some options as we're waiting for whatever needs to be resolved in OGA to review and approve the sole source. If we modified our ineligible cost estimates to include the premium for these sole sources, until we actually receive the sole source approval, we would get our letters to bid as soon as we issue that. So, Laurel, that's new information that I haven't spoken to you about yet. It would involve the ICW and the PSCCD, which are both cost estimate reporting to the state, and it would also update our scope letter. But I'd like to speak with you after this just to see how big of a lift that is, to assume what the state is concerned with is being aware of the cost premiums to go for sole source requests. There's so they want owners to be aware that, geez, you just can't ask for everything to be sole source just because it's convenient for you. You should be aware of what the premium for the cost is. The lesson learned on our account is that given this new way of evaluating them, for future projects, there are likely going to be different ways that we will incorporate sole source and maybe have a competitive specification or an open spec, but an alternate listed to go to a specific vendor. So, for instance, if your fire alarm package is going to cost $1 million, but your sole source request, you may not be getting a competitive bid. It may be 1.1 million. From the state's perspective, that extra 100,000 is a premium for asking for the sole source. So I don't know. That's just me putting, just listing an example out there. But what may be the workaround here is to simply update the eligibility information on both projects. So that's something I'm going to find out tomorrow if our sole source, if there's anything remaining on the sole source requests. If I don't get an answer, I think that's our break glass to move the projects forward.
Did she say she was drafting a letter? Sorry.
She said she's satisfied with everything.
Is the premium an algorithm, like, or is it have to be an actual go out, get a bid, and come back?
It's at this point there are some sole sources that there's no premium because you're going to get a competitive number no matter what. However, fire alarm is a perfect example where it usually costs more when you tell bidders that there's only one person that can bid on it. So.
And when did you say we originally applied for the sole source?
August 16th.
16th?
10 weeks ago tomorrow.
Very frustrating. If they had issues, it would have been nice to know about it on August 17th, not in November. Or September, November. And then they'll wonder why the prices went up. When we're
Well,
sitting here
that's,
losing time.
that's been my editorial in my conversations, is that, you know, a delay in bidding a month is gonna offset any type of lost, premium,
Yeah.
on a sole source,
By
so.
a factor, yeah. Other comments or questions?
So there's a chance that they could, like, deny the sole source, and then we'd have to do what you're saying to do anyway?
Yes. I haven't seen that yet on a project, but. So, the short answer is that we're likely gonna get approval to bid letters for both projects at the same time. However this sole source request is resolved.
Well, we don't have any feel for how long this will take.
Well, okay, now I can.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think you just revised the analogy.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
What was that, Joe?
I think the best path is to begin revising the ineligible worksheets, get those done. If you don't hear anything by the end of tomorrow, you submit those, you get the letter, go out to bid, and just wait. You can continue to wait for the approval on the sole source, but at least you're out to bid.
Yeah, one way or the other.
What happens though if you get the approval, like, afterwards and it's already out to bid? And
So-
it's just an addendum, or?
So the way that the way that the packages would go out as currently constituted is that the town and the district has requested sole source for the items that I mentioned. The bid packages will go out continuing to request that. So at the end of the day, there's going to be some ineligibles. Any work that we're doing offsite is considered ineligible. So all projects already have some ineligibility baked into our construction cost numbers. At this point, all of our contingencies are considered ineligible until they get applied to actual scope of work. This would simply go into, if it's $50,000, if it's $100,000, this would simply go into that bucket of ineligibility until we get the resolution up or down for the sole source.
So we can move this process quickly by doing as you said.
Yes, and that was new information to me this morning, because I think there are, from what I could tell, there are up to 3 other projects that are currently in the same current position that we're in. We've historically had other projects that the letters to bid have been issued with the condition that sole source is resolved. My understanding is that the OGA is no longer doing that, although we are aware of at least one project that they haven't resolved the sole source, but they're out to bid, so.
But we
Which
can
is
get the
ours.
letter,
Yeah.
we can get the letter from Barbara saying
Yeah.
it's okay to go out to bid.
Yeah. So I am not sure, I guess I'll ask this body here. The PSCCD, which is the reporting mechanism for the overall cost estimate, and the ICW, which is the ineligible cost worksheet, are things that are just done as a matter of work product as part of the PCR. We are happy to modify that in order to move this along. I don't know if this body needs to formally vote on that designation for the sole source to be listed as ineligible, but that's an option that's available to us right now. I mean, we would honestly probably just modify it anyway and send it out.
Comments?
But once it gets approved, it then becomes eligible.
Yes, yep.
I don't understand how we could get the letter that says it's okay to go out to bid, but there's like new information that you have to give them. So how are we gonna get a letter from them so quickly?
We
When you
gotta-
give them new info.
We have to, the new information as in the stuff that I just listed,
Yeah, like the cost.
we need to provide that in order to.
But then she's just gonna turn around a letter real quick.
Yeah. So,
Why haven't we waited like 2 weeks to get the letter that we're talking about getting?
Which letter? The approval, the bid letter? Or the
From
approval-
Barbara.
Okay, our plan reviewer at the
Yeah.
state. We have been waiting, yes, we've been waiting for a while to get the approval to bid letters, so.
Yeah, so I guess, why are we going to get it so quickly if we have to provide her new information?
Because
That's what I'm not
okay, perhaps that wasn't clear, I'm sorry, Chuck. What we're currently waiting on, and what we have been waiting on, is the disposition of our sole source letters, okay? Those are among other things that we've been asked to clarify, that we have so far satisfied, our plan reviewer. Currently, the thing that we're waiting on are the sole source letters for both North End and Norton. If we simply change the reporting of our ineligible and eligible items in our cost estimate, our 2 sheets for the cost estimate, that are part of the PCR, then we will no longer be waiting for resolution of any open items, and then the letters will be issued by the state.
So
if
this
we
is
get-
something we could have done 2 weeks ago?
No, she just told us
She
today.
just told us today that we could do this.
Yeah. But the last thing that she needs is approval of the sole source. If we don't get that, then we revise those 2 estimates so that they're ineligible, and she'll say, fine, I'll sign off. Because we're saying, you win, we're not gonna get the sole source right now, we'll just consider that premium ineligible. So then that satisfies her.
Do we have a feel for the value of the premium?
I don't know. I mean, we had discussed it during the reconciliation at the last reconciliation meeting, so we'll have to look at it. I don't remember.
It doesn't change the cost estimate.
No,
No,
It just pulls a chunk of the cost
Yeah.
estimate
As
from the
ineligible.
eligible to the ineligible.
For right now.
For right now.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think we need to vote as a committee on this. It's just a procedural matter that the
Yep.
architect needs to accomplish.
I agree.
which we'll do.
Everyone feel all right with that? Okay.
No, like if it's an ineligible cost for, like say they reject it and we get the sole source and now that cost for that's ineligible, we're costing ourselves more money than the state's going to reimburse. How's that?
We're already doing that, with certain things that are off of our site. We have rapid, flash beacons that we're putting out on the street at Norton. We have,
We're also bigger square footage wise
you know,
than the state allows, so there's ineligible cost no matter what.
areas that we are putting sidewalks that are technically not on our property line are ineligible. So there's already a chunk of ineligibility that are on these projects.
I get that, I guess, like, we could have a lot more ineligible costs, like, let's just put gold on the floors, right? Can we just do that without voting on it? That'd be ineligible, right?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that we'd be increasing the ineligible costs, so overall,
Yeah.
Right,
We'd
some
be-
way, at
yeah.
some time you have to pay for the ineligible at a higher rate than the eligible,
but if
be it down the road,
But our task is the school budget.
right?
We're not exceeding the school budget.
How do you know? Cause that's coming out of the contingency that's for, you know,
It-
things that we
It
can't.
No,
wouldn't
it's
exceed
in
the
the
budget,
budget.
it's still in the budget, it's just that it's deemed ineligible for reimbursement.
We're still working within the 166 million for the 2 schools.
Yeah.
The difference would be when all the dust settles, the town would receive less reimbursement from the state for whatever it is. Instead of 50%, they might get 46% and, you know, something like that. It doesn't affect us in our construction, but it will affect how much money the town ends up getting back from the state.
The,
Well, we have this bucket of contingency right now that has, say, $5 million in it. Our goal, in my mind, is to keep as much of that contingency in that bucket as possible. But we're saying we're gonna take it out.
It
to
doesn't
just
come
do
out of
this.
contingency.
Doesn't come out of contingency.
the sole source products that Tecton has listed, fire alarm and whatever the other ones were, are already built into the cost estimate, so they're already in the construction line item. Whether they're eligible or ineligible, it's still in that line item, so it's not coming out of contingency. It's just a matter of whether or not the state will give that money back, or a portion of that money back to the town of Cheshire.
So it's already a line item in there for a specific cost. It's just whether half of that cost comes from a state or not for that line item.
That's correct.
No, it would be the premium of that line item.
Oh,
So-
really?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's even small.
it's even, yeah.
Oh, okay, I
But-
misunderstood. I
and-
thought
and-
that item altogether goes, but it's not.
No,
It's
no,
simply
no,
the
it's
premium.
just the premium.
And what I'm really thinking about is like how much we wind up losing by waiting, and I feel like that's
Correct.
much bigger.
Yep.
That would lose us a
That's
lot
a
more
little-
money.
Yeah.
I am concerned about.
Because if we lose time and then you have to work premium time to catch up, that cost is gonna far outweigh
Right.
$10,000 or $20,000.
Yeah, like I don't love the situation we're all in, but I think
But Chuck, if you feel comfortable making a motion, that's fine.
No, I think I get it now, like, we're paying for it either way, I guess, I saw it as like a totally different bucket from the contingency, so.
And if the town, I think this is important to mention too, just for all of our understanding. If the state were to say, no, this isn't something we're gonna reimburse for the premium, I don't know that we wouldn't still go with that sole source fire alarm anyway.
Right, correct.
So all we're really doing is saying, let's hedge our bets and let the train leave the station, because we're still waiting on a ruling. And whatever that ruling is doesn't affect what we actually do for a system that we're gonna purchase. Is that correct?
That's
Yes.
the perfect way to explain it, yes.
I see a consensus around the table? Okay, let's move on. No? Yes, no? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Are we,
Misunderstood.
are we still on architect's update, or are we just on status of,
We're
plan?
still on architect's update.
Okay, all right, the one other thing that we included, was at our last meeting, there was a member that requested, information about the premium to go to surge protection for exterior, lighting. We have memos from Kohler Ronan for both projects. And basically a summary, so there's grounding, that is at every exterior light pole. The premium to go to a surge protection device at panel boards are listed in the three manufacturers for the panels, so Square D, Eaton, and ABB. For the inverters, we did not get information from one of the manufacturers, but the other two, there's no cost increase. So what's listed in the panel board ranges from 4,000 to 7,500. I'm just taking the largest number out of that collective group. There are two panel boards that would need a surge protection device at each school. So the premium for providing surge protection devices at the exterior lighting panel boards would range up from the low end of $3,252 per school to the high end of $15,000 per school.
Question for, I think, O&G. Which manufacturer have we pre-ordered, or which one are we working with?
We're working with Square D and we're still in review. So we have the opportunity to make this change now. It's this one.
Can you walk me through this? I don't know what a inverter is versus a whatever. You have three different manufacturers here. I guess, are these all equal in terms of what they're projecting to do here?
Well,
What's a panel board versus an inverter?
Well, we'll stick to Square D because we know those are the panel boards that are being provided on the project. The lighting panel boards are separated in the building per panel for exterior lighting. So all the exterior lights go to two particular panel boards that are within the building. If there's a light there, though our exterior lighting is grounded, we do not have surge protection on those particular panel boards. You may have to help me with inverters
No,
here.
you're doing good, man.
So putting a surge protection device on those panel boards will help our buildings have lightning protection, so everything that's inside of the building is covered by a lightning strike. What is not covered are the light poles, the exterior circuits that are independent of the building, that still have a routing back to the building.
And that's what Chris talked about
Yes.
last time.
So if we had a
in terms of
lightning,
that.
so if we have a lightning strike on a light pole outside, though it's grounded, it may still find its way back into the building, and through the absence of a surge protection device on our lighting panels could cause damage in the rest of the building.
Okay, so-
Correct?
Yes.
So what's an inverter
Come on, Chris.
I'm gonna preface this by saying, I don't think the inverters are much of a concern. So the inverter is a great big giant battery.
Yeah.
And it takes
No.
So it's a great big
We're
battery.
getting a consultant fee here, so no.
Right.
So the inverter, you just think of that as a great big battery, and what it does is it converts that battery, that DC power, to the line voltage, whatever it needs to be. And if you lose power to to a lighting circuit, if it's connected to an inverter or wired through an inverter, so look at it as your inverter is powered, and then from the inverter you power lights. If you lose the circuit that feeds the inverter, the batteries take over. You don't even see it, no blink, no nothing, it just stays on for 90 minutes to meet code, and that's your emergency backup. Again,
Do you
there's a
need-
lot of other things you could talk about with that, but,
So
so on
the issue that we're dealing with, which is the surge going into the building, do you need to be dealing both with the panel board and the inverter?
So, I don't believe the inverters would need to be, because the electric code requires that the emergency panel boards all have surge protection. So it's already requiring you to protect the emergency circuits. And this would be emergency lighting is what we're talking about. They think they just put something on here to give us some additional info. So, but while we're on this subject of inverters, let's kick it back. What did we pre-order?
I don't know off the top of my head, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
I don't think the inverters were part
Does
of
it
the
matter?
phase
There's
one.
no cost increase for it,
I
right?
thought the
Right.
phase one wasn't the inverters yet. I think they were part of phase two. We didn't order them yet.
Okay. Well, the second one does have a cost, it's unknown. I would think I don't think it's a big deal. I'm not sure what we have for emergency lights going outside, except for maybe at the exit doors, you would have one there. And that's attached to the building.
Oh.
I was more concerned about something off-building. No matter what you do, you can, there's a famous picture showing the space shuttle on launch pad with lightning hitting below it. And you gotta think NASA down in Florida knows something about lightning protection. So you just can't always predict and prevent. You just try to mitigate and safely discharge and pass it to the earth. But what I was trying to do was bring up the possibility, just because it happened recently on a project of mine, where lightning hit, and as it hit the ground and started spreading out, it found some pathways to get hit back into the building and cause trouble in a fully protected building, but it was the outside strike. So really, I wouldn't think the inverters are something that, it's good to know, but I don't think it's really something we're concerned with. I think it would simply be the panel boards that are providing circuits outdoors, which looks like Square D, which, I'll be honest with you, I think that's a great manufacturer. This is probably the only time in my career that I'm like, shucks, but, because it costs the most, for that increase. However, the likelihood of all of this, it's just like getting a flat tire in your car, it's an insurance policy. Do you just have run flats? Do you carry a little donut tire? Do you carry a full-size spare? Do you have run flats and a full-size spare? Do you carry a trailer with you with a set of 4 tires? I mean, what's the level of risk you want to incur, and how far do you want to go? And there's always a cost-risk assessment, and that's what I wanted us to do.
So there's 2 panels per building.
Per building.
Yep.
And they're saying 4 to 7,500, so we're talking about 8,000 to 15,000
Per
per
building.
building,
Mhm.
if we chose to do this.
Now, question to somebody, I'm not sure who, but is this, they're saying integral to the panel board, you can also add one external. I don't know, would we say that they would probably be the same cost, because now you got some labor to connect it, we're thinking that's
I think, I think
this
they're,
is the most.
apples and apples?
yeah, this is the most economical.
Because they have
yeah.
no order.
Yeah.
Single source.
That would be my guess, yeah.
Fair enough.
These are the three.
What's
So-
the estimated cost for it, like, right now? Like, how much, we're increasing by 8,000, but are we doing like 8,000 on, you know, a $10,000 bill without it, or is it something that's like a couple hundred?
Yeah, what's the panel board cost estimate for both of them?
I'm just trying to remember the bid for phase one was a furnish only, but that had a generator in it too.
Right, that'll
They
check
were like
that.
900,000, but the generator's probably half of that, so 450, and what's the switchgear worth? I don't know, probably 250, 250,000-ish?
So you're looking at 3,000 on 300,000.
Yeah, that's what,
Seems
like
That seems sensible.
O and G, what is your
Actually, I take that
experience?
back, it's like 15 on 300.
That's like.
What is your experience with those buildings? Has this
With
been-
doing the surge, I haven't seen it, but don't go by me.
I have not done this prior to, but also I have not experienced Chris's experience with a lightning strike hitting an exterior structure and bringing it into the building. But obviously that is a concern. He's experienced it recently, so.
And to be clear, it didn't come in through the exterior lighting, but they had multiple pathways because they had exterior buildings, football field, concession stand, press box, blah, blah, blah. We don't have that, okay? Our only pathway in is from, that's not attached to the building that I'm aware of, is site lighting, pole lights, just a few circuits. So I just brought it up as just a talking point because it was fresh in my mind. I'm not saying that the risk is something that is great and that we need to panic mitigate. I don't want to get a cost, because if we thought it was trivial, it's, you know, just another level of protection.
What would be the timeline on this? Was this something you're negotiating now, so something
So
you
we-
need a decision on it soon, or is it something that can hang out there?
So on
until we
Monday-
get some bids in?
On Monday, we are getting the short circuit study that is required by Kohler Ronin before they will finalize their review of the panel boards. So on Monday, that's what Square D has told us, they're gonna get it to us. I would imagine by Tuesday, I'll have that in Tecton and Kohler Ronin's hands for their review. So they would wanna, I would imagine if we were going to add this in, once we get the approved submittal, we would have to add that in as a approved as noted and say include the surge protection on the approved submittal.
I think we need to get pricing first,
correct.
pricing.
So, but this isn't something that could wait until we have bids in and, we
No,
look at
because
this
the panel-
again in January or something?
No, because the panel boards are part of phase one project. Yes, we've already gotten the bids for those, so this would be a change order.
It would be a change order.
If you wanted to wait, though, it could be added as an external device, but then, you've got the labor that goes with that. So that could be added, there is a way to add it later on, but this is really the.
Yeah, if you wanted it integral to the panel board itself, as this I think is showing, you would want to get that in during the submittal process while those panel boards, before they're released to be produced.
So they'll have the circuit study tomorrow.
Monday.
Or Monday, you're gonna submit it, and then Kohler Ronin's gonna review it, and once they review it, then you're gonna order the panels, correct?
Well, they need to approve the panel boards, right? Right now, the panel boards are on R&R pending
Pending the circuits.
circuit study, so yes. So we have not released those panel boards yet pending that review process. So once they do that review process, right?
Do we know what panels there?
I can find out, I don't know.
I mean, I'm just asking, I mean, we could formalize a PR request to ONG if we knew what panels they were, and then you get a real number from the electrical stuff. This is a number from the engineer approximating what it.
And would it be, if we got the real number, we could act on it at the next meeting? And it would
Yeah,
still
I
be.
don't know what
That's
the time
November
is. I would
7th, is
assume
that too late
so.
for releasing the panels?
So, just a thought, can we get a real number to add a device, external?
Yeah, I would need something from the design team to go out to the subcontractors, giving them the technical direction.
Because that could be done that could be done in the final bid.
Just getting the proposal does not mean you have to go with it, right? It's
We
just
can
giving
ask
you
for
real numbers.
We can ask for the premium to change
Because to do it external, if we decide we wanted to do that, to add it external, we don't have the gun to our head that we have right now if we want it internal. It's like, we're gonna hold up the process of what.
I hear you, I hear you. Yeah.
I don't wanna do that.
But you would ask the next contractor for that price, right?
Yeah, or
Well,
whoever does the
I mean,
estimating to come up with a number.
You could get a request in, you know, for our electrical contractor now to give us pricing. You don't have to accept that pricing. It'll give you the idea of what it's gonna be. Now, 6 months from now, you may get, you know, bigger pricing, obviously with increases in commodities, but, you know, you don't know that for sure if you waited to the phase two. I don't think it would change a significant amount, over a period of, you know, 3 to 6 months when we're doing the bids, but I think, you know, if you didn't wanna act on it now, it could be added in as part of, and it can always be added in as a change down the road too. Although that's not gonna get you your best number on it.
On the job that the lightning just destroyed stuff, what was the dollar amount of the damage?
Almost $200,000.
Nice. That makes
But it-
15,000 seem better.
But it did not come in through this, it came in through something
Right,
else.
it was a different thing, but
And it was also something that was specified that where anything leaves the building, it's supposed to have surge protection on that, and guess what wasn't installed? So, I mean, there's a lot of ripples there.
there was a series.
So we're a little better protected than the program that you were dealing
We
with.
don't have anything out, we don't have anything outside other than those lights. Again, this, I mean, just to get a lightning strike is a low risk to begin with, okay? And then you factor in, well, what are the chances we get a strike, this happens, and then if you get a strike and that happens, what are the chances it goes into the building and damages? You're out many decimal places. It's just a, you know, right now, you know, just seemed like a right time to just evaluate. I mean, do you need something formal with the design team, or do you just need somebody who
I
knows
just need
what
the
to scribble
technical
down?
information.
If I could just scribble something down and say, ask them to provide a, you know, 80K external surge protector to those two panels, what would it cost external?
Yeah, as long as I have something, because I don't have the technical expertise to explain it to them, so if you give me even an email, I can have them
Probably go
price
through
it.
the design team.
But I would agree with Justin. I mean, I think if you got it to Justin and Jeff, they would get it turned around to me pretty quickly, and, you know, that way it's just done officially and through proper channels.
I was just trying not to create work for.
It needs to have a, contractual route, if it's gonna be entered into, you know,
Yep.
reimbursable amount.
Yeah.
Does that sound good to everyone?
So you need,
So, doesn't force us to make a decision right now, but keeps the item open, on an open item log. And we'll get some additional pricing, and we can make a decision as we go farther down the line.
I don't think, you know, having that PR out there, getting that pricing, I don't think that, we don't have to hold up the release of the panel boards. Panel boards aren't made in a week. They're gonna be put into a production line. So adding in this small change to it prior to, I mean, they won't go into production, even if we got approval next week, it wouldn't be the following week they went into production. They would get entered into their production line somewhere in the period over the next several months, or, you know, they're going into production, so.
So knowing that, can't we just get the actual price for the meeting on the 7th and vote it on it on the 7th? Instead of getting like two different
Yeah, what?
prices and kicking it down the road?
That's the game plan, that's what I heard we're gonna do. Yep.
Okay.
We'll request a formal.
So for our next meeting, we'll, it says here the panel board be 18 inches taller, does that have any impact
No.
on the room rate? No, okay.
The only one thing I would like to add to this, though, is on the open item log, it says add surge suppression. I think it should be more investigate adding, or investigate costs for adding. I'm just thinking 6 months down the line, someone looks at this and says, hey, how come we didn't do it? Whereas,
Making that change right now, investigate, right?
yeah, investigate costs to add.
Okay.
How about explore?
Should the date be updated to the 7th?
Yeah. I think-
Anybody got a website dictionary?
Someone get my rhyming dictionary.
Late November.
We're gonna hand out a thesaurus to everyone. All right, thank you, guys.
Possibly maybe.
So I'll put this on the agenda for our next meeting. If I can, I'd like to skip ahead to owner's rep, because I'd like, or CM at risk rather, because I'd like to, after what we talked about here, take a look at the impact that it's having on schedule, so that we can pull those together. Yeah?
phase one, you wanna give an update on phase one?
Yeah, I can give an update on phase one. So there's no real update on north end. We are complete with construction, on the north end. At Norton, obviously the only thing, we were still maintaining the erosion control and the fencing at north end. But other than that, we have done all the construction.
No additional tests done
No
on the
additional testing, no additional monitoring, so I did request a credit back for that allowance, 16,000 some odd dollars. So we'll be getting that
So
back.
there were 5 tests done, minimal movement.
There were 6, actually, I put 7 overall, the initial and 6 additional after that. For 30 days, they actually did testing for me. And so the additional 6 weeks of testing will not be necessary, per the geotechnical engineer. So we will take that allowance back and return it to this project. At Norton, we began construction of the access road and preparations for the culvert. This past Monday, they actually came in Friday and did a little bit of prep work and brought some equipment in. Today, over the last several days, they've been working on setting up the, excavating for and getting ready for the footings. For this, the geotechnical engineer has been out, I think, every day this week to take a look, or at least a couple times, and he's coming back tomorrow. They will also be back on Monday. By Monday, they will have the gravel base completed, and we've had TestCon out there doing their compaction testing. The culvert is scheduled to arrive on Halloween, the 31st, and be put in place. And then they need a week to 2 weeks at most to, regrade, finish out all of the road in relation to the culvert, and wrap that part of that project up, and then Norton will be complete at that point. So that is going well. We did have a little bit of vibration instances that in the first couple of days. There must be a pretty dense vein of rock out towards the road, Sharon Drive. Mr. Flagg did reach out to us. We did speak with him. I spoke with him for about half an hour, and he enjoys having a conversation, and I enjoy talking to him. So, but he's appeased and satisfied. We did do a good neighbor report. I passed it out to all the neighbors on Sharon Drive, just giving them an update of what we're doing out there. So since
Is that
then,
a written report?
yeah, it is a document. I will share
Can you
that.
send me a copy of that?
Yep, I will. Yep.
Thank you.
And and that's pretty much the update on the phase one schedule. I think you asked how is the delay impacting us, so I have been tracking that in our master schedule. We are about 2 weeks behind on north, so I am tracking that, and obviously that'll impact our end date. I would make every effort to recoup that time during construction, but I can't commit to taking that time off the end date to start the project. So we would extend out the end date. If we were to get the approval to go out tomorrow, that would be 2 weeks and a day past when our original bid date, so that would get added on to the initial end of schedule. I think 2 weeks is a manageable thing for us to recoup during an 18-month project. So I'm not overly concerned with that delay. If this delay was to continue on for another 2 weeks, a month, 6 weeks, that would seriously impact our ability to get the job turned over to you in June of '26.
Is the fact that we're starting to bump into the holidays and then going right into winter when we're really starting
So
construction?
I think in speaking with several of subcontractors I know are looking to bid this job, they are a little light right now in what's out there for them to bid, so they're eager for this to come out, so I don't think that's gonna impact our ability to get bids in. I think where it's gonna be a challenge is gonna be for Laurel and I doing scope reviews, finding the time in between receiving the bids and being able to bring in all the subs, but we'll work that out and we'll manage it. Again, like I said, there's not a plethora of work out there right now that people are bidding on, so they won't have a ton of other scope reviews that they're going to have to, be involved in, so there's a good chance we'll get a lot of focus on these two projects.
If we get a really cold January, how does that harm us?
We're just gonna be doing concrete, so they'll just.
Yeah, we're already planning on winter conditions for concrete. We're always gonna do it. Yeah, if we get a, single digits January, it's definitely more challenging with ground. You've gotta bring in ground heaters and whatnot, but that is their responsibility. That's the risk they take. As long as we schedule it right and we show them that they're doing winter concrete, they know they have to carry winter conditions for the concrete, in the contract. There'd be a bigger issue is if we were having all concrete completed by December and it pushed it out, all the concrete into January, they wouldn't have carried winter conditions, and then the project would have to incur that cost. But that's not what we're showing. We were always planning on winter conditions for both schools for concrete, so at least portions of it.
if both projects get approved at the same time, are we still gonna separate them out by 2 weeks as we go to
Yeah,
bid?
we'll bid whatever we get a letter on first, we're gonna go out to bid. Doesn't matter if we get it the same day, whatever, as soon as we get the letter, we're going out to bid. When we bring them in is a whole nother story. So, the idea was always to try to keep them separated. Every contractor that I've spoke with minus one, wants them separated by at least like a week and a half.
So there's no confusion between.
Yeah, just they don't, the resources, it's tight for them for resources, so. So that will be the idea, and that's why I sent out the pre-bid meeting for the 7th, because I foresee these bidding now at the same time. I just put it out there, hoping that that can still hold. In order for the 7th to hold, we'd have to be out to bid by the end of next week, because you gotta kinda give people at least a week's notice. So if we're not out in the street by October 31st, I'd have to push off the pre-bid meeting again. But just trying to get it in everybody's calendar, and I've got wage rates that are gonna expire on the 31st, so I'm trying to, whatever we can do to get out before the 31st. Both projects.
Okay.
And all your conversations with the possible bidders, did any of them bring up combination bids?
No, as far as between the two schools,
Yeah.
no, nobody said they really wanna bid them together, cause it's great, except for Ferguson. So, that's one contractor wants them bid together, everybody else is like, keep them separated, so.
Do you think there's a likelihood you're gonna end up with the same contractor doing both?
There could be, yeah. Yeah, that's why what we've gotta do is we gotta be very conscientious when the first school bid comes in, whichever school it is first. We gotta do the big ones, the site, the concrete, the steel, the HVAC, the electrical, we got those big trade contractors, we gotta scope them right away while the second school's still bidding. This way we'll know, they'll have an idea whether or not they're actually low. You know, because this way, if they do want both schools, they can be a little more aggressive if they think they're gonna get the first one. So we have to be very conscientious on how we handle the bidding of the first school. And then the idea for Norton was always to try to start during Christmas break. When the kids aren't there, we can get up, do our fencing. I doubt that's gonna happen now. I highly doubt that that's gonna happen now. So it'll just have to be, okay, kids, you can't go outside in the back. That's why we gave the temporary play area out front. You know, back is off limits for you, and we'll just put up the fencing at some point.
Well,
But
the
it
kids
would
are
have
there.
been nice to show up and start the work when they weren't in session, but I don't see that happening now. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I don't know, but it's less likely.
Yeah.
What's the total bid period length? I don't have your schedule in front of me.
Well, I like to do at least 4 to 5 weeks.
So your
Usually it's 4
schedule
to 5
shows
weeks.
5 weeks or 4 weeks?
Usually it shows 5 weeks, but when we first go out to bid, we just say 4. We give ourselves an extra week in case there's addendas that try to push stuff off. So right now, for the bid due date for North End, it's somewhere around November 20th. It'd be great to get it in before Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Then it's pushing me into Thanksgiving week. And Norton was gonna be the first week of December, so it was like December 4th or something. Like a Wednesday and a Wednesday. Right now I was aiming for November 20th, and then December 4th, I think it is 2 weeks later. But that's if we got out this week.
Sure.
If we don't get out this week,
Well,
have
we're
to
not gonna
recess
get
it.
out this week, so
Well, never say never.
it's Thursday.
You never know. You never know.
Okay. I am not
Any
putting
day
any,
now.
I'm not putting any money on our being done by tomorrow.
I hope I don't have to revise the pre-bid meeting again, and I hope I don't have to order wage raise again. But we'll go as soon as we can.
Can somebody remind me when we started phase one, when phase one actually kicked off? That was July.
Mid-July, I don't have the exact date, but it was mid-July.
July, so we're end of October now. We were supposed to pre-order equipment, that's to me, that's, I don't know if it's a lion's share or just half or something, but it's a considerable part of phase one that we kinda don't really talk about, but to me, it's like the biggest thing, because we did that in order to stay on schedule, and we don't talk about it much, but here we are, we still haven't even gotten an approved submittal for Cable Wars,
I don't
which
want
the
them thrown
switchgear
in the paper.
submittals.
Well, they just gotta
Big
get on the
deal.
DAS
Well,
website and then put it in the paper.
So,
But
generator,
I don't want
generator and
nothing.
transfer switch have gone through a significant review period and process, and as soon as we have that short circuit study, they're ready to let that go. The issue we ran into is Eversource took a long time to get us the information for that short circuit study. So had we waited to do this in phase two, we would have most likely dealt with that same delay from Eversource. So instead of starting, in, say we get approvals next week, and the first week in November, we're out to bid, or we're out to, you know, production for those items, you'd be talking maybe 4 months from whenever we got our approved bids in phase two. So, you know, think about starting in December, now you're talking about releasing in maybe March or April. So we are still ahead of the game, and this will benefit the project to be able to get this equipment in.
Yeah, so my concern is really just twofold. We don't really talk about it.
Mhm.
And to me, I'm not saying the culvert isn't important.
Yep.
But if the culvert gets delayed 6 months, the project still happens. If the generator gets delayed, we start without a generator. We don't have heat protection in the summer or August when we are supposed to open. To me, that's not that huge of a deal. The big deal for me is if we don't get the gear, you don't have electricity. That's a problem. And in fact, I think everybody here agrees with that, because that's the whole reason we did phase one. And it's just the fact that we're not talking about it, and I don't know what the implication is on it having not gone yet, what the implication is on the schedule, whether or not we're still on schedule with the process. We're not really talking about that. I really think we should.
We'll investigate that. I'm not concerned with it right now. I think, you know, again, we were doing this to get well ahead of the game, and having that equipment well ahead of necessary. I think we will still have that equipment when we need it. I don't see it as an issue. I mean, looking at the schedule right now, we are not even talking about having the building enclosed until next summer. All right, and so you're not bringing in any switchgear, you're not bringing in any electrical panels or anything like that till you have the building enclosed. So the first 6 months is all, you know, coming out of the ground, steel.
That's fine,
Yeah.
but I don't know what the anticipated date for the panel boards is, so I don't know how that affects it. So I just wanna know that we're on schedule with that sort of stuff. I don't care about the reasons, it is what it is. If we're still on schedule, hey, so be it, you know. I'm not
As of
trying-
right now, we are still on schedule. We, you know, for when we will need that equipment to do startups and, you know, we will have that equipment. All the roughing will go in ahead of time. I understand your concern, it's very valid, and we will stay on top of that.
If we could just have that be something that's a talking point too, for me, just so that we can understand that, it's an important item.
So
Yes.
for our next meeting for phase one, can you give us some projections in terms of when these things are going to?
Yeah, I will
bid?
definitely have them reach out to, you know, the manufacturers and get sort of lead times on the equipment, that we're looking to get lead times on, and report back. So I will not be here on the 7th, but I'll have that information from Mark Jeffco to present.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Jumping up to number 7, financial procedures, action on submitted invoices.
4 invoices.
First invoice is Eagle Environmental for Norton Elementary School, $1,350. Do I have a motion? Chris, second? Dennis? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Approved unanimously. Second one, O&G Industries, Construction Services for Norton, $27,561.45. Do I have a motion? Chuck, second? Any discussion on that?
I have a question.
Justin, is there any reason you didn't sign the requisition?
I saw my signature.
I think
Yeah,
it was
signed.
some.
Yeah, what you're
Not
not
on the
seeing,
second one.
well, the second one is,
Richard.
there's a signature on both of them.
27,561. Oh, this is signed.
No,
O&G's, the O&G one?
yeah, ONG signed, but not Richard.
I don't know if they signed, they don't.
We don't.
They certified them, do you?
It's Richard's.
Decon signed Richard's for him.
I don't know if they have to though, because,
No, we
I'm just
typically-
curious, because it was missing.
yeah.
2702? I have to get
No,
it on
we don't.
both.
So, I can explain it. We sign there, for every payment application, there's O&G's
Right.
payout.
And that
That's
was
what we sign. The subcontractors, O&G requires their subcontractors to submit a payment application to them.
I get that.
We do not sign the subcontractors.
But you
ones.
did for the North End.
I'm looking at,
You got, that's.
Yeah, you got the whole, yeah, I didn't print, there was like 23 pages, I only printed off the cover page for, yeah.
No, I got both.
You're the one that has that copy.
Okay.
That was Rich's copy, I think.
Yeah, that was,
So,
yeah.
North End. Richards, signed by Justin.
Yeah, we,
So I got a hold of your stamp?
yeah, we're
So-
going to, rectify that.
Norton, Richards, not signed by Justin.
Yep, and that's the way this should be.
And I'm just bringing up the discrepancy. That's-
Thank you.
Anything else?
You mean
Chris?
you didn't sign it personally?
Chris, you have a question? No? Anything else?
I reviewed it personally.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
That was my question.
All right, unanimous. Construction services, O&G Industries, $635,103.22.
So moved.
And this is for the North End Elementary. I think it closes out.
It doesn't, because
Oh, it
the
doesn't.
electrical's not paid for.
That's right.
That's actually my question, because it's like the biggest line item on there.
Yeah.
So the electrical's not paid for, and there are some credits that have to come back on the north end, as well as there's a couple of line items that we are holding, even after this October rec, which is not this rec, the next rec, there will be a couple line items I'm gonna hold back. Erosion control maintenance and, the sign, the project sign.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Yes,
So moved. Dennis, second.
Second.
Sean, any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Commissioning services, Van Zelm for North End, $1,532.16. Motion, Chris, second. Dennis, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Very good. And I do get these out to you ahead of time, because I know sometimes
Yeah,
they can be
and
long
that has,
detailed.
that has the full, that has all of them.
Yeah, so I do send them to you as soon as I get them from Rich's office. If you wanna go through them ahead of time and make sure. Sometimes there's a lot of detail there. Action recommendation on change orders,
No
if
change
any?
orders.
No change orders, sounds good. Owner's rep, open item log update.
Yep, so, I passed it out. The only thing that we added was the request for, investigating the surge protection for the exterior panels, which we added, and that's the only change.
And you'll note the decision that we
Already
made
did.
today. Very good. Contract amendments, none?
No contract amendments either.
That's all I have. Is there anything else around the table?
We should keep an eye on item 76,
Which is,
because the date is coming soon.
76 is the building policy, yeah.
Now you don't need it for a few more weeks.
Never say never.
I am working with Vin on that. We're filling out the application.
Vin is at the same dinner as Jeff today, so he couldn't be at this meeting, but, so. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Anything else? Seeing none, I motion to adjourn. Chris? Second? Right? All those in favor? And it is unanimous.